powered by Riverside FM.
In today's sports news, I've read that 2025 Cape Town Marathon has been cancelled at very short notice. A huge disappointment for the 25,000 participants. Do you know what happened?
I do, yes. Apparently, the event suffered from strong winds overnight, which caused significant damage to the event village and parts of the event infrastructure. The organisers made the difficult decision to cancel with only 1 hour to go before the race start. In fact, many of the runners were dressed up in their shorts and vests and already at the event, even on the start line.
Oh no, that's shocking. How would you feel if that happened to you?
Be gutted, absolutely gutted, and I'm sure most of the runners were. It would be a huge disappointment. Marathoners get very focused on the event and they will be very pumped up for it. To have the event cancelled will be a letdown, and at such short notice in particular. It will be a waste of their training cycle and a loss of time and money of travelling to the event. Some of the runners might be local, but many would have travelled nationally across South Africa or even internationally.
That is so disappointing. But listen, aside of, from money and time, what will they have been through to get to that race?
While most marathoners will have put in months of training, typically something from 16 plus weeks, to prepare for an event. That's a very significant period of dedication. And for many marathoners, they may only run one event a year, if that. In fact, some people will run only one or just a few in a lifetime. So to lose out on this after all of the training that one time would be particularly disappointing.
That is gutting. But then again, events get cancelled all the time. What's the significance of this one? Why do I read about this one in the news?
Well, this one was particularly significant because the event itself was in its second year of being assessed for entry into the World Marathon Majors.
World Marathon Majors? What's that?
Good question. Well, it's a group of major marathons across the globe, sponsored by Abbott. Originally, there were six of them, but now seven. They've got together to showcase themselves in marathons, and in fact have used really good marketing to make them particularly attractive and desirable, with more and more runners going crazy about getting access into them.
Oh, how
But
difficult is it to get the access to them?
it's really difficult to get in. So, for most of them, you have to go through a ballot for which you've got something like a 10% or less chance. For some of them, you can qualify if you have a good time, but it has to be a really good time. And for others, you have to make a commitment to a high level of fundraising.
Interesting. So tell me, so they are world majors. So would that be like London and Paris?
It's a good question. So London is indeed one of the marathon majors, but Paris isn't,
No.
despite being of a similar scale. In fact, the six original marathon majors were London, Berlin, Chicago, Boston, New York, and Tokyo, with the addition this year of Sydney as the seventh.
Okay. And so what's the attraction here? Because it sounds like they are difficult to get to. They're quite busy, I assume. I think we were talking about thousands and thousands of people running them. I seem to remember that the ballot for London was entered by more than 1.3 million people. What's the attraction? Why would people want to do it?
I think people are attracted because it's the opportunity to participate along thousands of others in well organized events in really iconic locations. If you think about some of the places they go through the Brandenburg Gate, over the Brooklyn Bridge, past the Houses of Parliament, finish at the Sydney Opera House. These are iconic locations with huge crowds, and many people are now fascinated to take part. Particularly, I have to say, because of the increasing prominence of them in social media, where people see others running and they also want to get involved.
So you say that those are iconic locations, but surely there are more than that just iconic locations.
Yeah, I think it is more than that. I think it is the scale and the organization and largely the branding. They've done well to capture people's imagination by launching a six-star medal for people who've completed all six of the majors. And I have to say, this is something that drives many people, including myself, to want to run in them.
So have you done any of those major marathons now?
I'm pleased to say that I've been fortunate enough to do 3 of them now. So I've done London a few times as my local event, but this year I was also able to participate in both Berlin and the Chicago Marathon.
How was that? How big were they? How many people were running with you?
For each of those, there were more than 50,000 runners participating.
50,000 runners
It's a
in
lot.
one
I know,
place.
it's a lot of people, and I have to say it's hard to explain the experience because you're running for a long distance, 26.2 miles or 42.2 kilometers, and yet there are people around you the entire way. When you're running with 50,000 people, you're not running by yourself.
I've heard that there was 1 million supporters on the Chicago one. I
There's
could definitely feel it.
There were certainly a lot of supporters at Chicago. I'd say probably the best supported event I've run in, and they were very loud as well.
Yeah. So how would you compare the 3 that you've done? London, Berlin, and Chicago.
I enjoyed all of them. I would say probably Berlin and Chicago are most similar in terms of the course type. They both start and finish in the same place and are relatively flat, taking in most of the sights of the city. London is a bit different with a bit more of a fiddly course, which is point to point, but obviously it has a particular attraction for me as parts of the course overlap with some of my own running routes.
Which one would you how would you rank them? 1 to 3?
Well, I think I'm probably biased, so I'll put London at number 1, and then there's not much between Chicago and Berlin, but given I got a better result in Chicago, I'll put that as number 2.
Good. So you have 3 stars. How does that make you feel?
Starry-eyed.
Okay, so coming back to the original topic, what does that mean for the future of Cape Town Marathon now?
Well, that's a really good question. Whilst today's cancellation shows that the organisers do take safety seriously, sadly, I think it does mean that they're less likely to get in to be part of the marathon majors. I just don't think you can have an event being cancelled at that short a notice, especially with, according to the report, the wind that they experienced being not particularly worse than they might experience at this time of year anyway. I just really struggle to see how that can be an acceptable outcome to have such a short notice cancellation. That said, marathoning is becoming more and more popular. So there is demand, and there is demand for more world marathon events. So whether that puts pressure onto Abbott Marathon Majors to accept them anyway, we'll have to see. But I have to say, I don't think today's events were a positive sign.